This is a year to prepare. We've never seen this before. Pluto entered Aquarius, Neptune entered Aries, Saturn entered Aries, and now Uranus is entering Gemini. They're all fire and air. All the outer planets are just dipping their toe in. I'm here to warn you, put your seatbelt on, but don't get worried. The intellectual approach to what reality is changing. God's not playing with dice. It's not random. Every human dilemma that you're living with, it's been put in place by a contract that you don't remember signing. I know there's a higher intelligence with a wonderful team that looks after me and gives me directives all the time. I know, as an astrologer, I am totally safe here. But that's a radical, Aquarian, optimistic, trust, violent change is going to be coming by the time we get to 2030. This moment is a pause. If only we had an awareness of how fast this place is going to change, it'll be unrecognizable. 2025 is the last remnant of the good old world. I want to do a shout out to Rick Levine because I've been obsessed with his podcast with you, and it really echoed what I already saw. So I just want to say, let all the astrologers unite in giving advice and wisdom for all of us to feel comfort in knowing that there's some rocky moments happening. So 2025 is the first year. And as he said, there's never been a year like this before because all the outer planets are just dipping their toe in. It's not till 2026. I want to distinguish this. 2026 is when you really see the results of climate crisis, of the political atmosphere, of what's dealing with your psychology, of your financial world. That's when it will become very obvious. 2025 is like, remember when you go to the movies and they give you a preview and they just show you the highlights and you're like, I want to go see that. That's what this year's about. It's like a little bit of a awakening. So somewhere, I think it's May 25th to August 31st, Saturn, for the first time in 30 years, enters Aries. So that's going to occur, and I'm going to tell you more how that will affect you in Aries. But that's the indication because when it finishes in August, better known as September, it comes back in February 2026 and it doesn't leave. So sometimes planets, as he described, they go retrograde. They go backwards and forwards. It's the nature of how this reality is. Forward, 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 couple steps back. Forward, 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 2 steps back. That's the planets. The outer planets do retrograde often, particularly Pluto spends probably 70% of the time going backwards. So these don't move quickly. Saturn takes 29, we all know Saturn return. I hope if you don't know it, you need to know it. At 28 to 30, at 58 to 60, we have Saturn comes back. It's called Saturn return to where it was when you were born. It takes 28 years for Saturn to go around. Well, every 28 to 29 years, Saturn enters Aries. That's going to be this year. And what that suggests for the collective, the last 2.5 years, and we're in it right now while you're watching this, is Saturn's been in Pisces. And what that meant was we were all like, Pisces is like this. Something's changing. I wonder what it is. I don't really get it. I'm a little confused. Oh, don't even think about it. So it's a dreamy kind of vague feeling where it floats around. We're all aware something's missing, something's clicking, something's changing. In the last 2.5 years, we know climate crisis is real. We know the political, but no one's really being the activist and no one stopped using plastic and no one's really done anything. So that's what the last 2.5 years were. We're like, you knew something was fishy, literal, Pisces fishy, but you didn't do anything about it. Well, Saturn enters Aries and now it's like, okay, this isn't just a theory. Now it's getting hot. It's entering fire. So 2025, for those few months that it enters 0 degrees, 1 degree, it then stops, goes back into Pisces by the end of 2025. And then the entrance, February 2026, now it's in full time. And that's when the fire, where you're saying, I was smelling fire for a little bit in the spring, but I see it now. So this is a year to prepare. This is the year to ask yourself, what do I need to do to adjust my nervous system for these very large changes? Because it's not just Saturn. Get ready. The outer planet Pluto, which takes 240 to 250 years to come back to itself, has just changed signs into Aquarius. That happened November 19th of 2024. That's going to last for 20 years. So here, watch. Saturn enters Aries somewhere in 2025, and then Pluto entered Aquarius in 2024, but 2025, it's there for good. And Pluto talks about transformation brought to you by resistance. Like, I don't want to do it. Pluto's in Aquarius, AI. This is the word where AI and ET are brought to you by Pluto in Aquarius. Like new concepts, Pluto, transformation in Aquarius, futuristic concepts that we don't even know how to translate. But we're all smelling it. Oh, here comes whatever that chat thing's called. And here comes the fear about AI and how it will influence us. Oh, and now we're all using it in different ways. That's just the beginning. It's kind of like when we were kids. When I was little, the magic phone arrived, and we could do this like button. You guys don't remember this. First, it was on the wall. We dialed. Then one day the magic phone came where you pushed it. It was like
Mm.
super cool. Then one day these big giant things came. Remember that? They were
Yeah,
like
with the
telephones. You had to
antennas.
carry,
Yeah, with
yeah, with
the
the
big
antennas,
antennas.
and you'd carry them. Then came the day where these become a flip phone, and then came the day where. So we're at the entrance where that first push button phone started. This year with AI, it is present. The phones became present, but we didn't see the trajectory, did we? Similar to AI. It begins in 2025. It's going to go exponential. It's Pluto and Aquarius. There's one other change. Now we added Saturn and Aries. That meant we had to stop pretending there was change. Saturn and Aries is in a fire sign saying your life lesson, all of us in 2025, especially 2026, is get up, do something as compared to watching podcasts and theorizing and studying and reading. Now it's like action. That's going to be coming soon to your neighborhood. That's two of them. Neptune this year enters Aries as well. So for the last 7 years, Neptune was in Pisces. It echoed what I said. The dreamer, we all believed in mysticism. People were microdosing, they were taking drugs, they were talking about telepathy with this new podcast. I don't know if you know about the telepathy tapes, but it's gone viral. It's surpassed Rogan's podcast. Did you know that? So it's wild that the telepathy has entered. This was the influence. It's still there now. It's going to shift in 2025. Neptune will enter Aries, a new notion of how to do the male energy, because Saturn's going to be in Aries, Neptune's going to be in Aries, Pluto will be in Aquarius,
Mm.
and then Uranus. I love this one. The last 10 years, Uranus has been in Taurus, and it talks about the radical change for all of us of the notions of security. Uranus is radical change. It was found during the revolution. It talks about breaking up the old structures. It's similar to Pluto. Pluto's more like smashes your head. Uranus just makes you nervous. And it's been about Taurus, security, money, housing, buying land, investments. We've all been slightly nervous because the interest rate went crazy over the last era. Rent went crazy over the last era, the last 7 years. Buying a house is beyond most people's grip. This is
Mm.
Uranus and Taurus. It radically changed Taurus, our financial structure, and now it's entering Gemini. These are all happening in this year. This is why he said, I loved what he said this. We've never seen this before. Pluto entered Aquarius, Neptune entered Aries, Saturn entered Aries, and now Uranus is entering Gemini. They're all fire and air. Uranus and Gemini is going to mean our definition, Gemini, of how we think with the influence of AI. Pluto in Aquarius, Uranus and Gemini both being in air signs, the intellectual approach to what reality is changing. And we can't name it yet, which is a little disturbing.
But we know that it's shifting.
Well, and I'm here to warn you that this is the year where it's kind of like put your seatbelt on, but don't get worried because we're just beginning. By 2026, when you and I meet again next year at this time, it will be very obvious that the shifts from the American structured government to what's happening in Canada, what's happening in Mexico, what's happening in Korea, what's happening in Ukraine, all of that rock and roll will become very loud as compared to the news reports where we all sit at a distance. This is going to be affecting our economy. It's going to be affecting our psychology. And that's where I come in. So, different than Rick Levine, I have a master's in clinical psychology. So, I'm always looking at the human dimension going, how will these changes affect our anxiety, depression, addiction, loneliness? And if you're prepared, as we're going to do today when we go through each sign, which ones of you need to step up? Which ones of you need to relax? Which ones of you are going to get affected by 2025? Which ones of you are skating? This is the gift of astrology, is it means that you can be prepared. Prophecy is the gift of astrology so that you know that each of you in different ways. Like if you're an early degree Aquarius, if you're born January 20, what would it be? January 20th to about 23rd, 24th, and Pluto is sitting on your sun because Pluto just entered Aquarius this year. It's going to be at 1 or 2 degrees, and you were born with your sun at 1 or 2 degrees Aquarius, then Pluto's going to come and affect you. That's what we call transits affecting the natal chart because the natal chart's like a tattoo. It never leaves. It's indelibly, I wish it was on your forehead. I wish when I met you, I could see everybody. Would that be cool? And or only people could see it if they had the means. So they would indelibly put this ink on your forehead. I would walk up and I'd say, "Oh, look at him."
Maybe that is the future where everybody has their natal chart tattooed on their forehead and we all wear white robes and we're an enlightened society.
And that's what I'm thinking. That's what's coming. Thanks for saying that. That is the Aquarian age about to arrive. And I loved what Rick said and what all the astrologers are saying. We can't demark it with a date. It's a 2100-year cycle, 2176 years, I think it was, or 86 years. It's a long, but we don't have it like on March 1st, the Aquarian age arrived, not like that. But we can see its influence. All of you can see it. It's why you're on a podcast. This is Aquarius age. We have headsets on. We're spaceship drivers without the spaceship. And we're talking about ETs and we're talking about AI. These are all Aquarian new words. That's the indication that we left behind the Piscean age when it was just stay at home, get the same job, go to church, follow the rules, don't argue. And by the way, if you do, we're going to banish you. That was the Piscean age. The Aquarian age is like, go move to wherever you want. Sleep with whoever you want. Don't get married. Do get married. Have kids. All the freedom that has arrived since the 60s, which is where somehow I think it began, we are now entering a society that doesn't live with the same Piscean rules, which was if you didn't go to church and you weren't baptized and you don't go to synagogue and you're not doing your prostrations, you're going to go, that's not true anymore. Isn't that cool?
Ooh.
I know. It's liberating that the human condition is no longer bound by constructs of a Piscean era, which, by the way, was trying to teach us how to love your neighbor. Well, it didn't work. The Aquarian age is saying, here, I got a better idea. Study astrology. This is Aquarius rules astrology. Learn about your own system. Accept the diversity of these strange people that are everywhere you go. They're strange. Have you noticed? There's just people everywhere. There's 8 billion people on. If you think about it for a minute.
Oh, you can't wrap your head around it.
No, you can't. Beep, 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 beep. It's short circuits. But here's the simple version. That many people under the influence of unique star packages, with you understanding them because you studied astrology, it's like, okay, I can accept. I've looked at every politician in America's chart, whether it was the politics of Democrats or Republicans. I stare at their chart and it increases my compassion. That's the point of astrology in the Aquarian age. We will become compassionate creatures, unlike the Piscean age where we got bound by religious judgments. We're now saying everything goes, please feel free. Let's learn about diversity brought to us even by AIs and by ETs that are going to be different human creatures.
I'm hearing an era of where there's actually a lot more structure, but there's a bit more structure, but there's a lot more action as well. So it's like structure, action.
That's what Aquarians are. They're humanitarian
compassion.
Activists. Yes, they're activists. They're compassionate activists who want to make a difference for our family, as compared to Pisces, who wants to go into the temple, do their prayers, follow the chants, follow the rules, do what everyone else is doing because they're trying to create harmony through a group that was bound by a doctrine. Aquarius is like, are you kidding me?
Have you come across the phrase Ubuntu? It sounds a bit Ubuntu. It's this South African psychology. Actually, it's like one of the words in the zeitgeist. Like the Danish have this word called hygge, which is like everything is really comforting and cozy, and it's a big part of their culture. And it's like what they drive is they're sort of like, they say it's like a reflection of the entire culture psychology that makes them super like happy and longevity living, because it's just they appreciate, they take the time to slow down, appreciate the creature comforts, the smaller things, and that's really like this source of happiness.
Say the word again.
Hygge. Hugge. It's like
it.
It's like sheepskin rugs and little things like that. Like, just a warm cup of cocoa when you wrap your hands around it. All those little things are hygge.
Chart.
And and then you've got, like, in South Africa they've got this Ubuntu, and it was like this real thing that, like, it's not about me, it's about we. It's like this complete thing of like us banding together, and it's like literally seeing like more of an organism. Whereas even as you were describing like the Piscean worship, it's much more self-realization, self-enlightenment. Whereas, it seems like now we're sort of, everything you just described sound like we were kind of going through together. So the word Ubuntu just
I
It's coming to
love
me.
that so much. And that is so astute. That is exactly right. It is a humanitarian, collective Aquarian energy that accepts diversity without a beat. Like they love all the differences. That's what astrology is. All the unique flavors of characters are blending into an incredible tapestry woven together by a divine design.
Hey there guys, Debra's about to go super deep on each star sign and sun sign's energy update for the new year. If you would like to jump ahead to your particular sun sign, star sign, use the timestamps on screen now and take that moment to jump ahead. Even in the description below of the video, there are also timestamps that are hyperlinked, so you can just click that button for your particular star sign and it'll take you to that point in the conversation. While I've got you guys here, I just want to take a moment also to thank all of you that are subscribed to the channel. Thank you so much for your incredible love and support and believing in everything that we're doing here at The Inspired Evolution. To all of you that haven't yet subscribed, please do take a moment. Everything you see around here is powered and empowered by your subscription to the channel. So please do take a moment, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification icon below, and help us champion love, positivity, and wisdom around the planet. And with that, back to Debra and the 2025 energy updates. It's refreshing to hear you say this because I do feel like we've been going through a time of deep polarization as well, where everyone's being able to see their polarities a little bit. And I think compassion is probably what is kind of what the doctor ordered, to be honest, in many ways. So that's really inspiring to receive. And one of the things I just wanted to say a bit earlier, but I didn't want to interrupt, was, you know, as we about to dive into everybody's unique individual reading for the signs, I just wanted to say, like, at the end of the last podcast you and I did, you and I spent some time chatting and, you know, I was gifted, touchwood, you know, just even 15, 20 minutes of you kind of going through my chart and just kind of what's coming up for me. And I just wanted to double click on what you said. Like, it's the gift of astrology, the piece of prophecy, in that, you know, it just gives you a little bit more resilience by just knowing, actually, like, come March 2025 or come August, October 2025. And it's like, okay, cool. Because sometimes we are going, like, the Buddhists kind of have this very interesting relationship with humanity. Like, they're very peaceful, and yet life is kind of suffering at the same time as well. Not to say that life is suffering, like, you know, it's a choice how you view the world in many ways. But nonetheless, all of that to say, there are challenges on our path, and having a light at the end of the tunnel
A light in the sky.
Oh my goodness. It's literally, right? It can be such a blessing for your mental subconscious resilience in terms of how you wade your way through the waters. I just wanted to add that in there.
Oh, I wanted to echo it by saying, as an elder, which is what I loved about Rick too, that we've gotten to this point, without the faith that this is for a reason and that there's an organization that's being done by a higher consciousness, a higher intelligence, as Einstein said, God's not playing with dice. It's not random. So I want you all to hear that. This has been orchestrated and planned across time. And while it's uncomfortable, we talked about the birth last time, it's not to be mistaken with anything's wrong. In fact, those of you listening to this right now who are really suffering, and you use this podcast because Amrit's cute and loving and he's so beautiful and he's got such a smile and that love factor is contagious. It's so helpful. It's just true. It's so helpful to be around that energy, because when we're suffering alone and we reach out through cyberspace or by the community that I've created with astrology, there's so much more ease. You're not alone. And every human dilemma that you're living with, whatever sign you are, it's been put in place by a contract that you don't remember signing. But you agreed to take on this life with the exact characters, the same symptoms in your body. The dog was coming, the wife was coming, the kid was coming, the first heartbreak, the second heartbreak, the death of all of that's been written. So that's what astrology helps with. God bless you. It must be true. I have a theory. People only sneeze when truth is spoken.
I love that. Thank you. Yeah. Are we? What is going on? I don't know. For those that are listening to the audio, you can't see what happened. Fireworks literally just exploded out of Debra's head on the screen.
Okay, let's just review. Let's just take an honest respect for the shamanic punctuation. Everything is here for a reason. You're not a mistake, and no matter how painful. This is when he sneezed. No matter how painful the story is, or confusing, or like you're really lost, that's not true. It's the absolute practice of the hero to go down into the dark before he comes into the light. That's the heroic path. That's how it goes, said Joseph Campbell. We go down to go up.
Beautiful. I love that. Hi there, guys. I wanted to take a quick moment just to introduce you to my one-to-one coaching. It's something that I deeply love doing. As you can tell, conscious conversation is such a massive part of my life. And having one-to-one, deep, meaningful conversations with people where I get to show up as your brother or as the coach or as your mentor has been such a gift for me personally, and a gift for lots of the people that I have supported on the journey of living a more spiritually empowered, spiritually powered, spiritually aligned life. You don't have to take my word for it. Here's some examples of people all around the world that have experienced profound transformations through this coaching experience.
Amrit is a fantastic coach.
In a few sessions, he got to a depth that I'd only experienced before working with certain medicines. And
he's gone through a lot of the struggles that you're probably facing, and Amrit's been a really strong, supportive figure in my journey.
In control of myself.
I'm kinder to myself.
I actually have that vision and a purpose.
I do feel like I'm a better version of myself already.
Amazing energy.
He was easy to talk to, which made me easy to trust him.
Working with Amrit at 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning, and really I was bouncing out of bed.
Whenever I get off the calls with Amrit, best money we've ever spent.
I would not recommend him because I don't want everyone to know about him, and then I won't be able to book him. If he gets too busy, I won't get my turn.
I would say absolutely.
There's no way you can work with Amrit for a period of time without being transformed.
So if you're considering him as a coach, do not hesitate, because you won't be disappointed.
Alrighty, so hopefully that's inspiring your evolution onwards and upwards. And if you are so inspired to evolve, you can book in a one-to-one call with me directly at www.amrit.coach/life. And guys, if I can say so myself, I do think this is something quite special. Most people that I see building things online don't really work with people this deeply, this intimately, one-on-one as things start to grow, just because it is so time intensive. And yet I'm so deeply passionate about the transformation that comes from one-to-one coaching that just isn't available anywhere else. It would be my absolute honor and a pleasure to support your spiritual awakening, your spiritual path, your spiritual unfoldment. It is my life's work. I look forward to seeing you in the call. Back to today's podcast. Debra, should we go into everybody's path?
You bet.
Can we start weaving into it?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm so thankful the fireworks went off right at that moment and you sneezed. I really do pay attention. I really do pay attention to
I'm totally
punctuation.
lucky. The synchronicities, touch wood.
They're not to be undervalued. Yes. So let's start with Aries. So as I mentioned, the second half of the year, Saturn's going to go into Aries, Neptune's going to go into Aries. There's an invitation to start looking at anger or energy that you have or focus. You've had a really good last 18 months because you had some cosmic support from the North Node. What happened? It was about using discipline to keep the fire burning. And the 6 months of this year, while Jupiter's in Gemini, do you all know that? Jupiter's going to be in Gemini for the first 6 months of 2025. So it's a very high energy for all the Geminis out there, but also the fire signs. So the Aries is going to love that support that's coming from Jupiter. There's a new moon, you want to write this down, on March 29th at 8 degrees of Aries. So these people that are born March 27th to April 1st are going to be the most affected by that. When there's a new moon eclipse, that was the word, and it affects your chart, and it's at 8 degrees, and you got to go figure out, like, what do you have at 8 degrees? That's an indicator of some added energy that's going to support and promote you. And as you know, last year, I don't know if you know this, there was some north nodes going out. There was some node activity in Aries. That's what I said the last 18 months, but you're getting it again in March 29th. And those people born, as I said, 27th to the 1st will be affected the most. Take a risk during the spring. This is a new era for you. You're preparing, Aries, when Saturn enters, those early degree Aries people, you're going to feel it. It's going to go away by September, but you're getting a clue from May 25th to August 31st that 2025 is going to be your year of work. So that's what's up for Aries. That's going to be a very strong work ethic, goal setting 2025. If I were you, Aries, I would start future pacing. And know that this year is simply a preview and it's getting you ready because Saturn's going to return February 14th, 2026 to last all the way through April 2028. So that whole 2-year window for you guys, Aries, is giving you momentum for your career. That's what I want to say. Okay. Interesting enough, during 2026, this is a little advanced. Saturn and Neptune are standing together, which hardly ever happens, and they're both in Aries. They'll both be at early degrees, and that is the potential as a collective for us to start considering a new option versus war, because Aries is the warrior, but with Saturn and Neptune, Neptune is the redesigning of idealism. Saturn is concretizing. So there's a hope that maybe we're going to start thinking about the word war. My dream about our future in the Aquarian Age is we don't have that word anymore.
Oh, you and me both.
Won't that be amazing? Can I just add for you guys the full moon on April 12th? This 2025 is for you, Aries. I want you to know that. And your retrogrades, Mercury goes retrograde in Aries, March 15th to April 7th. So that's just to put on your calendar. Good information to know that for all Aries, when that happens, it affects you more than the rest of us because it's in your sign. And I'm going to give that to each sign. Okay, let's go on. Taurus. Taurus, you're being supported. It's so wonderful because Jupiter was in Taurus 2 years ago. Seeds were planted. Jupiter in Cancer starts in June, the second half of the year. Tauruses get to review what got planted 2 years ago when Jupiter was in Taurus. Now, at the second half of 2025, Tauruses are beginning to feel like, wow, I can flow. This is good for you. For those of you born at the beginning of Taurus, April 20th to 24th, it's not an easy year, just to note. Pluto will be squaring you. Great time to get a reading to find out what part of you want to change. That's a really good piece of information. And then those of you born at the end of Taurus, May 15th to 20th, remember I said Uranus is in Taurus. It was what affected the economy and the interest rates. It's going to go into Gemini soon. But this year, for those people born May 15th to 20th, Uranus is on your sun, which means very strong option for change. And Taurus doesn't like change. So Taurus loves to maintain things and sustain things and to be comforted. Well, that's not true for you late degree Tauruses. So I just want to say that. The full moon is May 12th for Taurus. That's going to be your era. And there is no retrograde for Taurus this year. But what I want to say to Taurus is, enjoy 2025. You've got the support from Jupiter in Cancer the second half of the year, which is very fluid. And while you get slowly activated to make change, you're in a higher incline of success. So it's a good year for Taurus 2025. Okay, let's do Gemini. Gemini, you have a funny combo because it's sweet and sour sauce. You've got one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake. On one hand, you've got Jupiter for the first half of the year in Gemini going, let's go. And it's been going on, by the way, for all of 2024. Let's go, Geminis. And I've had this. The book is coming out, my new book, and I'm getting all kinds of exciting options. However, it's funny. Saturn's in Pisces squaring it. So there's been a distasteful, I felt it so strong. Like, I'm so excited. Why do I feel funny? Look at all these opportunities. I'm not really in the mood. Ooh, it's confusing. So that's the flavor of Gemini. Anyone born, ready, May 21 to 25th, Pluto, as I mentioned, entered Aquarius, is trining you. So you're going to have a little boost of energy. So early degree Geminis, you mark that down. Wow, the first 4 degrees of Gemini gets supported from Pluto. The people born June 13th to 21st, which is a lot of Geminis, Pisces is squaring you through January to May 24th. So that's what I meant by the little discomfort. How come I feel so happy, but I feel edgy at the same time? It's a mixed bag. Nothing's wrong. The full moon for you is on June 11th. And I think that Gemini, even with that funny little niggly feeling, it's good for you because sometimes when Jupiter gives too many opportunities and there's not caution or discomfort, they get carried away. And Geminis can spend too much and play too hard and eat too much. They're kind of kids that need supervision. So that little bit of Saturn is going to help them. So it's a good, I would say 2025 is one of Gemini's, one of the signs it's really going to benefit.
Bit of healthy skepticism is what I'm hearing.
Yeah. Like a little keeping a little bit of a moderation there, which is not Gemini's best trait. Okay, Cancer. Cancer is born between July 6th and 22nd. Unlike Gemini, you're really benefiting from Saturn in Pisces. It's a water sign. So for the last 2 years, particularly throughout the first 6 months of this cycle, 2025, you're being supported because you're highly emotional, having this feeling of being able to dream with your own rhythm. You've been in a very creative home building, as I always do, business building. It's been a very successful business era. So I want to say Jupiter moves into your sign on June 9th. Every Cancer loves this. Those born between June 22nd and July 20th are going to benefit from this energy boost and the expansion. So good, happy stories for Cancers. Be careful you don't spend too much, eat too much, because when Jupiter comes into Cancer, it provides an increase in whatever sign it's in to saying, let's go have some fun. It's 100 times the size of Earth. So it's like the expanse, it's like MSG. So Jupiter being in Cancer is going to give you some very strong opportunities that continued from last year around your business. So flow, let it happen, don't resist. Cancer's born between 22nd and 27th. That's the people that are having the square. It's just that slightly happens at the second half of the year during summer and early fall. It's only temporary, but again, it's probably good because to your point, if there's no breaks when Jupiter's giving you all this expansion, we overindulge. So a very good year for Jupiter. I'm going to say 2025 looks really good for you. Your full moon is on July 10th. And Mercury does go retrograde July 18th to August 11th. So it's in Cancer. And you're going to want to pay attention during that era. Like look at your schedule and say, this is not a great time to travel because I now know that retrograde's occurring. Okay, let's do Leo. The first half of the year, that's January to June, your ideas are being supported because Jupiter's in Gemini. So there's fire and air. Jupiter's in Gemini. Leo love Geminis, and they get very, very creative. Leo's born early degree, July 23rd to 27th. You've got Pluto in Aquarius opposite, and that's the possibility of huge change. So if you want to lose weight, if you want to start something, if you want to go to therapy, Leo, this is a really good time to say, wow, those early Leos are like, I really feel like something's being asked of me to go deeper. Great time to work with Amrit. That would be a great time to go get personal counseling with somebody who will activate your spiritual goals. I'm going to say that to Leo. You need some counseling. It doesn't sound nice, but it's a spiritual counselor, and that's what I know Amrit does. Leo's born late degree, August 17th to 22nd. That's not easy. You're asking for something new, and Leos like to be in control. Leo has an issue about wanting to be the one that's driving home, that's making the decisions. And those people, 17th to 22nd, Saturn, your Uranus is squaring you, which is going to feel like, why am I wanting change but not wanting change? It's that funny feeling. So permission to do some changes, Uranus squaring your sun, and notice that they're starting and stopping. So that's the thing about Leo this year. Reach out for counsel. Let yourself feel the early year energized. But once Jupiter goes into Cancer, and there's a quality of Saturn in Aries, which is energetically inviting you to do self-reflection. Go on in. The full moon for you is August 9th. It's a great year. This would be a great year for Leo to say, I'm going to do a retreat or I'm going to do a cleanse, like something to take me in. Okay, Virgos, you got one of the best years, 2025. There's 2 eclipses. You want to write this down? September 7th and 21st. There's 2 they're full moon lunar eclipses on September 7th at 15 degrees. And the other one is September 21st at 28 to 29 degrees, the late degree Virgo. So Virgos born September 6th to 11th are going to be the most affected by the first one. It's the one that's September 7th. The second one is Virgos born September 20th to 22nd. That's when the eclipse hits them directly. But all Virgos are going to feel the influence of these eclipses, which are markers to say, from now on, I'm not da-da-da-da-da. What we use eclipses for, they're punctuation. They're like sticking a flag in the ground and going from now on. And so for a Virgo, it might be, I'm going to change my internal dialogue. This is what my new book is about. I'm going to change the operating system because it's really not serving me comparisonitis. I feel bad all the time. Or I look in the mirror and I'm sick of the judgments. So you could make a radical change, Virgo, with those eclipses, and you'll know what your personality, maybe it's not eating sugar or not eating wheat. It's a really strong marker. Over the next 18 months, this is the perfect time to work on your judgment, your criticism, or letting go of perfectionism. Good luck with that. Not very easy. Virgo's born September 7th, after September 7th for the first 5 months, while you'll have extra discipline. This is when Saturn's in Pisces, it's opposite your sun. So anybody born from September 7th, after September 7th, I should say, anyone born after September 7th, you've got Saturn in Pisces opposite you. And it is a really powerful time to fulfill your job. Not that you're not a workaholic already, but you're going to feel like there's a lot more juice in your favor. Your full moon is September 7th. That's when the eclipse happens. Wow, that's exciting. September 7th. Pay attention to the eclipses, Virgos, as markers to say, I realized 2025 really was the year that I changed. Really, and it's a powerful year for Virgo. Libra, the last 18 months when the South Node was in Libra, when those eclipses happened in Libra, they affected in Aries, they affected Libra. So you've got a lot of cosmic support, letting go of old patterns. And now it's about using boundaries, which is not your best trait, between being codependent and independent. This is really the conversation for Libra. 2024 was all about this conversation. How do I do relationship without losing myself while maintaining my love to be in harmony and be in tandem? That's their conversation. Libra's born between September 23rd and 28th. I was just doing this today and called a friend and said to him, Pluto is supporting you. You've got a beautiful trine. It's an excessive amount of energy for the whole year while Pluto's at that early degree. So it's opportunity for change, for energetic, physical, athletics ability to take your game a little higher. So take advantage of the first 6 months when Jupiter's in Gemini, trining you, it's an air sign. Pluto's in Aquarius, trining you, it's an air sign. Whenever they're the same element, harmony. That's what happens in astrology. So people that are the same always get along better. I'm telling Libra this. The most compatible thing in life is when you meet someone who's just like you. You were just meeting my friend today, Ash. We have the same exact everything, our chart. So we just think he's so funny and I think I'm so funny and then he thinks I'm so funny and no one gets the joke but us because there's two little Geminis that are exactly the same. That's compatibility. No one ever tells anyone that.
I find that with Virgos as well in particular.
Of course, you'll automatically love each other.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. So the full moon is October 6th. So pay attention. That's when you guys get to have your energy increase. When Saturn goes into Libra in 2026, and it's so Libras are having a pretty cool year this year. By 2026, when Saturn goes opposite throughout that whole year, you're going to have increased discipline, and it's a great time to start a business. So just to say, Libra, 2026 is going to be your year. 2025 is really settling into the strong energies that are coming. Pluto's trining you, Jupiter, especially the first 6 months. Enjoy. Scorpio. Well, we know that transformation is Scorpio's middle name, and that's where they live. And they've got Saturn in Cancer, again, the same element trining them. Jupiter's been Saturn's in Pisces, trining Scorpio. Jupiter's going to be in Cancer the second half of the year, trining Scorpio. So this is a wonderful year. I'm going to give you the dates. If you're born October 24th to 28th, Pluto in Aquarius is giving you birthing pains. Now, you're built for the job, but those people should definitely consider therapy because something internally, if you're born October 24th to 28th and Pluto's in Aquarius squaring you, it's just an invitation. Nothing is ever bad in astrology. Nothing's ever bad in life, but there's times where we just go, I don't know, I feel depressed. That's excavation time, right? That's when we call Amrit. We go, someone help me analyze or figure out what the conversation is that's got me up against myself.
Imagine.
Your retrograde is November 9th to 29th. Mercury will go retrograde in Scorpio. And your full moon is November 5th. So Scorpios, I'm looking forward. You're going to have Jupiter in Cancer the second half of the year, and Saturn will go back into Pisces. It's a very fluid year. They've had a great 2024. They're getting into business. They're starting things. They're feeling smoother, but it really comes to fruition in 2025. Sagittarius has that mixed bag feeling again because we've got Jupiter in Gemini at the beginning of the year, opposite Sag, saying, do you want to travel? And yes, Sag always wants to travel and always wants to have adventures, but Saturn's in Pisces going, no, you don't have the money. That's a nightmare for a Sagittarius. So those born November 23rd to 27th, between May and August, you're going to get a bolt of energy because Saturn in Aries, again, it's fire, will be trining the Sagittarians, the early. So this is where the support comes in. So anyone born 23rd to 27th, you're going to get it, and it comes through Saturn and Neptune. So your energetic body, if there's any part of you that got taken down by Saturn squaring you because Sag has been squared by Neptune, it's been not fun for Sag. It's going to change as the second part of the year occurs and Saturn enters Aries, fire, and Neptune does. They get juju. I have a little frog. Sag born after December 6th, and especially December 14th to 21st. This isn't a year of easy street because there's that square going on in the second half of the year. But this is the year to make commitments, which is not Sag's best thing. So take advantage of the restriction to say, okay, I'm going to do this and stay on one thing, which is not Sag's best trait. And your retrograde is November 9th to 29th, and your full moon is on December 4th. Okay, Capricorn, June 9th. This is the second half of the year. Through the end of the year, Jupiter is going to be opposite your sun. This is a Capricorn dream. In 2020, during COVID, and then for the 2 years during COVID, Capricorns were in the meat grinder. It was just so hard to watch them. Pluto was in Capricorn, and there was this crazy energetic that was really offensive at the time. Now, Jupiter is going to be opposite you. And we caution people to not be too indulgent during those transits, but not Capricorn. You go ahead and indulge. You go ahead this year and you spend more money. You go ahead and make your goals even bigger. Jupiter's there to support you for the second half of the year. Those of you born 22nd to 26th, Saturn and Neptune, this is the second half of the year, from May till August, you're going to have a square. It's that energetic that makes you feel like, oh, something's wrong. Oh, good, I'll make it right. This is a Capricorn dream. They love when things go wrong. So they don't suffer as much as we do when things are tense. They take it as a challenge and they move through it. They don't get lazy, they get activated. Capricorn is the only sign that likes to walk uphill. I hate walking uphill. Okay. Pluto has finally let go of you. Pluto left Capricorn. As I described, you're done with that powerful transformational request that happened from 2007 until now. So feel the difference, Capricorn. You're out of the woods. The full moon is January 13th. There you go. Okay, they don't have a retrograde. Okay, Aquarius, this is your time. This is a great year for Aquarius. Jupiter's in Gemini for the first half from January to June till June 8th. Oh, again, the same elements. Jupiter's in Gemini, Sun is in Aquarius. They're getting all activated. They feel so creative. They're loving their astrology. They're learning about the gene keys. They're learning about the Enneagram. These are the Aquarius. They just love all this stuff. Pluto in Aquarius is just beginning. The revolution of our reality is just starting, but you are the ones that were already ready. You're like, where is everybody? Aquarians born January 20th to 24th, you have Pluto in Aquarius sitting on your sun. It's directly affecting you, which means you can lose weight, you can change jobs, you can leave the marriage. It is time when Pluto hits the sun, only one sign of this whole year, the next, I'm going to say 20 years, but these early Aquarians this year have an opportunity to radically change. And if it's hard, then you either call an astrologer or Amrit. But you need counsel because it's going to be like, I knew she said change, but I didn't see this coming. It's sometimes like unexpected. Aquarians born 13th to the 18th, Uranus is squaring your sun. Uranus and Taurus, the late degree Taurus is squaring you. So you're going to feel like for some reason you need space. Like maybe you want a break from your job. Maybe you want to do a hiatus. You're like, I don't know, something's really irritating my system. And of course, Aquarius love to run when they don't like where they are. They're the first ones to leave the room. They do not feel bound by society to follow through. So that could be a little bit of a strange moment. The full moon for you is on February 12th. And January 20th to 22nd, the Sun and Pluto will be conjunct. That's interesting. January 20th, coming up soon. So the sun and Pluto are going to be together. All that means for all of us is in those few days, January 20th, 22nd, I'll be paying attention, a glimpse of the future, a glimpse of society. Let's see what happens. Pay attention. We'll just do a little note to ourselves. And last is Pisces. With Saturn, the planet of karma and destiny and life lessons and discipline and responsibility, that has been moving through Pisces since March of 2023. You've undergone a maturing process, Pisces. You've been forced. And they all know this. They're listening going, wow, is that what that was? It's not comfortable. It feels awkward because it's like the principal of the high school. That's who Saturn is going, what are you doing? And Pisces hates being followed or watched or told what to do at any time. So you've had a difficult couple of years. As it enters into Aries during that May to August, you'll feel a bit of relief. And then it goes back in from August to January. Just saying, you've been asked to mature, Pisces. You've been asked to make your dreams come true, to start your art, to start the company, to make the physical art form like you can't talk about it all the time. This has been the request of Spirit to say this was your turn. On March 14th, we have a full moon eclipse happening at 23 degrees of Virgo. Wow. And that's going to be the culmination of whatever you guys have started. Like by March, by your birthday time, there is this eclipse that all those Pisces that have been suffering or challenged, you call it what you will, or stretched or loving it, it really has a high level culmination by that full moon in March, right during your birthday. Okay, full moon is on March 14th, and your retrograde in Pisces is March 15th to 7th. These are good dates, you guys, to write down because then you put it on your calendar and you go, uh-oh, during those retrogrades, not a good time to be initiating. It's a really good time to do reflection. Brought to you by Debra Silverman and Astrology. Okay, you guys, you should put that in your calendar. We're going to do this next year. I know we are because we're now family. I don't even know who he is, but I swear to God. I swear to God,
I know
knew
I
him
just
somewhere
met you,
before.
but I think I love you.
I know. It's so funny. But this is so good for all of you. I want you all to, you'll see obviously in the markers, go look up your husbands, go look up your kid. Find out when their retrogrades are. Find out when the full moon is. Pay attention to the energetics. Put it in your updated calendar.
Hey there, Inspired Soul. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. What is your star sign, sun sign, and what is your strategy for 2025? What are you taking away from today's episode? I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. And as always, Debra will be back in the future. So if you have questions for her, please leave them in the comments below. It would be my honor to ask them on your behalf in the future. And with that, back to Debra in today's episode. Thank you so much for the update. And yeah, I think it's really useful. Like I said at the beginning, just having that little bit of awareness in terms of what's actually happening for me on a meta scale gives you the opportunity to sort of just navigate the waters with a little bit more grace and ease. It is interesting because it does seem like for depending on your sign, some people you were like, go get it. And for some people it's like, hey, just pause, reflect, consolidate. So it seems like everybody's got some different marching orders depending on who they are this year.
100%. Yes, I think it's worth saying that astrology's function is to cultivate your individuality. Like let you do it your way. And it's one of my greatest, as a mother, this is one of my greatest pleasures, is looking at children, looking at families and saying, listen, this kid needs to stay home from the party. Like they're not socially active. That's not their vibrancy. That's not their currency. It drains their batteries. This kid needs everybody to come over right now and play outside like a wild banshee. And if you tell that kid to sit in the bedroom and go do what the other sisters do, like, no. So this is why I love astrology for children is if I like to speak in first person, if I've done a good job as a mom, I've really allowed my children, my students, my clients to really custom design their unique, chunky version of being themselves and feeling so good because their uniqueness was what I'm celebrating, not being like everybody else. That was the Piscean age.
Well, that's what I was hearing as well, because Piscean, I kind of feel like when I picture like a fish, it's very much a school of fish and they sort of herd together and they move, together. And yeah, I kind of felt this Aquarius is a bit more honoring of the individuality. Is that
Not a
What's
bit more, 100% different. The fish are all flying together, swimming together, swimming together. Even the birds are all swimming, they're all flying together in a herd. The Aquarius is the one going, I can't follow. I just want to do it I'll meet you there, but I don't want to be part of the group at this moment.
Is it a bit of like live and let live kind of energy?
That's 100% what it is. And I, as an individual, because clearly this lifetime as an astrologer, you can imagine when I grew up in the 80s, I was in graduate school, and they thought I was crazy putting astrology with psychology. I mean, I met so much resistance. Everywhere I went, they were like, what? Who made that up? And now I was, like kind of breaking the ground. And now there's lots of students who go to university and say, I want to combine astrology and psychology. That's the sign of evolution and the Aquarian age becoming prevalent. That's just one small indicator.
Back to what you were saying a little bit earlier about us being in an earth and water phase and we're moving into a fire and air phase. Because I know a big part of your work is also the elemental. And so is it every year that we carry a particular, like that we're in a particular element and we move into a particular element? Or, what are the cycles around
Well,
that?
it's 7. Listen to the cycles. So Pluto's once every 20 years, Saturn's once every 2.5. Well, it changes signs. Well, there's 2 different angles in astrology. You can ask the big picture. No, it doesn't change every year. It goes through eras. It's been 17 years that Pluto's been in Capricorn. That was a long Earth cycle that required the whole planet to reevaluate the governments and who was running them and who was our leaders and what did we trust. Well, it came down by the end of 2024 as Pluto left Capricorn. So many governments were all like, we're not counting on them. They don't have our back. They don't even have our best interest. So that was the demolishing, the destruction. Pluto is the destroyer. In the Tarot deck, it rules both. Pluto is the death card and also the judgment card. Scorpio and Pluto have to do with destruction. So it was the destruction of the structures that kept us safe and secure. In exchange, what's going on now is Aquarius. Oh, we believe in the metaphysical belief that there's an organization and a government and a leadership that occurs way beyond the human condition. I do. I know there's a higher intelligence with a wonderful team that looks after me and gives me home office, gives me directives all the time. I get told what to do almost every day. I wake up in the morning. I encourage all of you to do this. Since Pluto entered Aquarius, what can I do today to be of service? How can I play the role of the leader in helping my family? What will it take for me to be an example that humanity can see kindness, compassion, and generosity? Let me become the government leader starting now. The minute that happens, if everyone took the role with Pluto and Aquarius, that the leadership was no longer dependent on the government or external male, the old boys club is gone, in exchange for home office, for a higher intelligence, for ETs, for people that have reached mastery. I consult the highest level of intelligence. I pray to those that I cannot see. And I ask for directives that I can be of service. So my family down here can be given an example of what it's like to be alive and kicking from a place of kindness. That's the difference. So the old era was earth and water, was stability and more of the same, and keeping things familiar and repeating and washing and repeating and doing what our and doing the sins of our fathers as though it was okay. And now this era is like, I'm not doing that. And I've been that girl the whole time. When I was pregnant, this is unbelievable, but I refused to go to a doctor. And when it came time for the birth, I had a home birth in the water. At the end of the birth, there was a complication. It was in Canada, and they didn't believe in midwives in Canada. It wasn't legal, believe it or not, at the time. And I went to the hospital because we had a complication. And the doctor, when he came in, they said, "Who's your doctor?" And I was like, "I don't have." They were like, "What are you talking about? You went through 9 months of pregnancy without a doctor?" And I said, "I believe, and I still do, that the natural faculty of this body, the natural rhythms of this reality, if we go back to the basics and trust, it will all work out," including that occurrence that happened at the hospital. It all worked out. But that's a radical Aquarian, optimistic trust, because I know as an astrologer, I am totally safe here. Now, that is not what Pluto and Capricorn said. You need security. You need insurance. You need, you need numbers and letters, and you've got to get the old school boys club to tell you how much money you can spend and what the doctor said, and take this shot. Make sure. I was like, don't tell me what to do. And that's the Aquarian energy that's about to arrive. People finding their own unique style based on trust that doesn't come out from the mind, but comes from the knowing of your body.
That's one of my deepest fascinations, actually, being spiritual coach, mentor, counselor, is this, because I get people coming in and their life's going great on so many fronts. And they come with this knowing, this deep sense of knowing. And they go, I just know that this needs to shift. And it's like, because in Psychology 101, it's like, hey, if you just eased your expectations, you'd be fine. And they're like, I'd love to. And I ask a lot of questions around that, but it's like, and then eventually it's like, no, this is deeper than mental. This is in my bones. Like, I just know.
100%.
And you get to that point, it's like, all right, cool. This is your calling. Let's roll. Let's work.
You know how much time I spend with my hand on my belly? You can't see my belly, and my hand on my heart. I spend a lot of my day before I eat. I ask myself, what do you want? Not my head. She just wants coconut cream pie and bananas that she can stick into chocolate. No. Then I go back to my body and I say, what do you want? And as I've relied and devoted myself to the organic, instinctual knowing that I live with, my wisdom has emerged. And that's the Aquarian age. The authority is not out there. It's in your bones.
Hey there, inspired souls. I don't know about you, but I find Debra Silverman so inspiring when it comes to just the way she decodes her reality and understands everything through astrology, and also the way she uses astrology within a psychotherapeutic framework. It's just really, really cool. And so I'm actually going along and studying level 1, 2, 3, and 4, all 4 levels of Debra's applied astrology program. So if you want to join me, you actually can. There's a link in the description below. I start in Feb 2025. That's my cohort and intake. You can join that particular cohort, which is coming up just next week at the time of the release of this podcast, or another cohort. I think she runs it once or twice a year. Sign up and we can learn astrology together and apply the fundamentals to better understand ourselves and the world around us. The invitation's yours. I hope to see you there. Check out the link in the description below. With that, back to Debra in today's episode. It's also really hard to wrap our head around this. Yeah, like you said, like no one saw where phones were going to start. Like this little thing that we were spinning on the wall, like bing, bing, and then pick up the handle and dial someone, and like, you know, like ring on the other end, and it's like, oh my god, we're communicating. We actually, you would have loved this. We did a podcast with beautiful lady. She was 103. She unfortunately, touch wood, just passed away, but incredible wisdom carrier for wellness, and she. She was alive during the Second World War. And when she had her kid, her first son, she actually had to morse across to her partner who was at war at the time. And she was in awe of the fact that she could let him know that he had become a father. And I remember tuning into this on the podcast, and for her, and I remember sitting in the conversation just going, oh my God, that's one person's lifetime. And like where we are now, because she was just like, Amrit, I need you to pause and just reflect on how ridiculous it is what we're doing here. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, there's a camera. I'm on the other side of the world. You're on the other side. We'd like be able to talk and share this with the world. They're able to tune in and learn and evolve. And I was like, what? Like, we just kind of take this for granted. And she's like, no. That was incredible that I could actually ping someone and let them know their son was born. And I was just like, my goodness. And like watching how everything's coming on. And that was the phone. And you're also saying, Touchwood, that like at this particular point, like AI is kind of at that point. We have no idea what's ahead, right? In some ways, which is kind of daunting.
So permission to recognize in the name of the I love this conversation. In the name of the Aquarian age, there's a couple things you know for sure. You can depend on your body. I want to go back to that. That no matter whether she's 103 or I'm turning 70 almost, whatever your age is in this room, you can rely on this body as a resource of deep knowing. The mind and AI in the future cannot be determined. I don't know. That's a very true sentence. What I do know is the depths of my heart, the truth of my connection with people. There's no debate. My love for the dog, no debate. My love for that little baby. Like there's things you know. I want you to make a list, everyone in this room, in the name of 2025. What do you know for sure? Now start banking and landing, because it's going to be an exponential curve. He said it so well. There's an exponential curve of increase of violent change is going to be coming by the time we get to 2030. This moment is a pause. 2025 is like the last remnant, a little bit rocky, but the last remnant of the good old world. As they start to introduce the radical changes of the fire and air influences, it will be unrecognizable, just like it was. I mean, who remembers when they first handed us these things? You remember where you were when you first got your you can't remember.
It was, I do kind of remember, but it was,
Well, I do.
I don't know
I
life
just, and you know what else I
differently.
remember? Get ready for
Yeah.
this. I remember when The Wizard of Oz came out in the 1960s, and I saw colored television for the first time because they got to Emerald City and it was color. And I remember being a little girl staring at television going, what? This is the nature of radical change. You can't even imagine that. You can't imagine right now what's about to happen in 2 years when AI becomes our new friend, hopefully with our best interest in mind, and starts to bring us to humanitarianism. That's my prayer for AI.
Yeah,
Please
my
don't
version,
detach us.
my
Go
version
ahead.
of yours is like when the dial-up internet used to connect. It was like, and like I remember, Mom, get off the phone. I'm using the internet. And then like pictures would load along the screen. Like it would take 5 minutes to like load one image and like all the way. But the fact that it was loading and I could see something that I'd never seen before was just,
sweet.
and
Okay,
now
how
I
about-
sit here and I'm like, hurry up. I need this yesterday.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you know what
It's
it took
crazy.
to do an astrological chart? The numbers of math involved to calculate and
I
execute
can
a chart. It took
only
us
imagine.
hours. And now it's 1 second. And it's free on
Insane.
astro.com. You push a button. It took hours to calculate the time of birth, the place of birth, the longitude, the latitude, the movement of the planet. We spent, it's a second. So just so you know, you didn't even think about that.
No. Also, what that triggered for me was because it does seem like even AI, even though it's extrapolative, some of it, it's also somewhat interpretative because we've been watching and experiencing technology kind of come through. But you've also mentioned in a few places that from outside, like, off the wings of the stage, potentially, and we're kind of hearing a bit more ET disclosure stuff happening. And I don't really know enough about this stuff.
I do.
But yeah, so can you, what do you think's
Just
happening?
go follow Stephen Greer, Dr. Stephen Greer, on my podcast. There's one podcast that I did in my life that's worthy of being watched again. Is Stephen Greer and no, it was me interviewing him, and I just like you, I prepared for hours before I met him. I got on the podcast, and we took a flight straight home because I have a direct relationship with the ETs. As a young person, I hate talking about it because I only started talking about it recently in the last year. I had a direct encounter as he did. So you can't dismiss when there's a true concrete experience. And for all of you in the audience that are wondering, because secretly in your bones, you know we're not the only ones here. Like that's a knowing. But if you're not acquainted with your bones, before we do the ET conversation, you guys, let's do it again. What do you know for sure? You know for sure the sun's coming up tomorrow. And you know for sure the increments of the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, all of our best friends move exactly in order without ever deviating. You can count on 100% reliability on those people. That's very comforting. They do not change. Is that a crazy thought?
Grounding.
And because of the comfort of this divine design brought to us by the ETs, I'm convinced, brought to us by a higher intelligence, that suggests that they're watching us, they're protecting us, they're providing. We are an experiment to see what evolution would do with too much free will. It wasn't good. We kind of went over the top. We didn't know when to stop ordering Amazon. We didn't know when to stop using plastic. We didn't know when to stop eating. We didn't know when to stop arguing. We don't know when to stop. The first rule of the universe, I teach children, parents to teach children this all the time. The one rule of the universe, know when to stop. I love how you just did that. You stopped. That's what meditation's for, you guys. That's what yoga's for. That's what pranayama's for. That's what the reason that we practice tantra. Don't have the orgasm. Stop. It's almost impossible for the human condition, back to my book, because the operating system doesn't know the word stop with blessing. I love going slow, said the tantric lover. I love eating slow, said the yum yum factor. I love walking slow, said the barefoot girl on the ground, feeling the sand between her toes. That's the invitation. That's how you'll get to know your bones. That's how you'll return this era into the next era, which is a brand new one that's called, oh, the human condition just upgraded. We're so kind. We know how to pause. We know how to stop. Wow, that wasn't like my grandparents' grandparents. They just kept on going right off the cliff.
And I think we feel it, especially when, for those of us that live in cities, like when there's a wave, there's a current, and it's almost like I just can't help but every time you're at a stop sign and you're ready to cross, and then when everybody crosses together, it's like it's this rush, it's this race, it's like who can get across first. And if you actually just slow down and watch it, it's actually kind of hilarious.
It's a collective zeitgeist that's operating without consciousness that's going to change in the Aquarian age. I'm inviting you and all your listeners to consider this. If you had something you could slow down, if you were willing to eat slower and pray before you ate, just take a second. If you woke up in the morning before you jumped into your day, or you grumbly walked into your day, or you depressedly walked in, and you did this instead, I'm here to serve. Can you give me my orders, my directions? Can you help me today? I need your help. And they hear you. They're like, hoo, we got an awake one here. She just prayed and asked us for help. Dun, 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 dun. Down come the angels waiting for you. They're trying to get you to turn this left. And now you just met your love. Please don't do so fast, you guys. I'm telling you. I mean, I'm older than you. It took me a long time to realize the value. And I'm not saying I'm good at it, because I'm a Gemini, so I'm probably full of shit. But I would like to suggest that patience and trust and faith and my hands on my body and my prayers over my food and my deep breaths require consciousness. And that's what I'm inviting you to do.
What I'm hearing in there as well is with the drastic shifts and changes, like you said, this is kind of like a moment of pause before things really start to ramp up in some ways as well. That we're, with all the different changes that'll be coming in that are unprecedented, grounding us into, just the body, the wisdom, the natural things, but also, like I've been finding this, it's an absolute blessing holding a podcast, holding space, connecting with you on the other side of the planet. Literally feel like I've made family, and the interpersonal connections, like in the tangible, in the physical, like where you can actually touch someone and hold them and just be like, hold on to their shoulder and be like, oi, good to see you. Like those little bits, the humanness to it all is also, it's a real opportunity to, well, not even an opportunity, actually. It feels like it's incumbent upon us to cultivate those things.
The way that you can help the future come. Slow it down, you guys. Be in your bodies. Drink your water and feel it go down your throat. Smell the orange. And if only we had an awareness of how fast this place is going to change, it'll be unrecognizable. We're in the very last era of reality resembling this. And everyone knows it secretly in their bones that they were born for this, that no one pushed you on the bus. You volunteered for this position. And while your mind is like, did I? And what was the job description? And who was I supposed to live with? Wait, did I sign up for? I can't remember. That's true. Your mind everyone's mind's a little, but your heart of hearts, when you slow it down and you just tune into your own, this is what astrology gives us, our real self. Then I go, oh, that's right. I wanted that mom. My mom was such a crazy person and she was such an eccentric and she just had I'm thinking now as I grew older and she passed, like, that was perfect. That I would have a mother who was totally uninhibited and embarrassed the shit out of me. I mean, how else would I learn to be able to be unencumbered by tradition, if not by my mother? That when I was a kid, it was nails on a chalkboard. As an adult, I'm like, oh, good thinking, Batman. You must have been thinking about me when you gave me that mom. Could have fooled me. When I went through it, I just thought, oh my God, somebody was just either on drugs or they just made a boo-boo. And as the years have gone by, I see, no, actually, I thank her now. I apologized and asked for forgiveness for how harsh I judged her awkward humanness, because it was a gift in exchange for me being uninhibited and being what people value of my persona, which is so honest and so raw. She had no filter. She looked just like Bette Midler. I don't know if you know who that is. It's a famous actress. But she wouldn't tell people she wasn't. So she would sign and then strut her stuff. I'd be like, Mom, that's not appropriate. It was hard on me.
I love it. I love it. And the space she held for you to become.
So reframe the victimization of your parents, of your first husband, of what happened with your brother, of what happened with that mean teacher. All of that was constructed with a higher intelligence that we just can't understand until time goes by and we look back and realize, wow, that was my assignment. I was supposed to learn from those stupid people. I think I did. Please forgive me for calling you stupid. I just didn't like the lesson. How about that?
Blessings. We've discussed a lot, and I feel like there's a lot for us to take away and a lot of heart really to take away for 2025 and the year that's coming ahead. Debra, it was a question that I came into the podcast with, so I will honor it by asking if there was one truth that you feel like everybody needed to anchor into for the coming year and beyond, what would it be?
Start your day with a prayer. I'm so grateful to be here. And while my mind might argue or my emotional body may not feel true to my gratitude, my heart knows. Help me to stay in touch with my heart. Slow me down enough to remind me that I love being in this body. I love being alive right now. And if I can't get there, please seek help. That's the truth. If you can't find your gratitude for the incarnation that you've got, if it's all messy in your mind's interpretation, your narratives are all twisted, please ask for help.
Epic. Debra, as always, such a treat and a pleasure, and just something I wanted to offer into the space as I give my thanks and my gratitude. I just want to say we had Stephen Jenkinson on the podcast some years ago, and such an incredible character. I'm so grateful for him. And one of the podcasts we had was on eldership and elderhood, and you used the word as an elder today. And I just wanted to just honor and acknowledge that, because one of the things he was very clear on, which was a bit of a bitter pill to swallow, was that everybody does get older, but we don't actually all become elders. And he said it was a very easy test to really understand whether someone is an older or an elder. And it's not that they don't actually graduate themselves, it's just relative to the individual. So, you know, for me, looking kind of up at the tree that is yourself and kind of going, is that an older or an elder for me? And his response was, the first question is to ask them, what did you know? What did you know? And everyone can answer, you know, subjectively to their experience. And then the second question is actually what determines whether they're your elder or not. And it's like, what did you do about it? And I just want to offer that into the space because, yeah, I just am deeply grateful for the work that you're doing in the world, and the way that you're carrying it and what you're inspiring on into others, such as myself. We're on an incredible journey, and trust is not something that it's easy to talk about. And I see trust and surrender as two sides to the same coin, actually. The better I trust, the easier it is to surrender. And surrender is the whole spiritual path. You know, you put me onto Andrew Holchek and I'm reading his book, and really he talks about the whole path is about surrendering, right? Coming into the final frontier, and like how we live our life is how we die. And if you can learn to surrender, that final frontier is, you know, is all about surrendering, let it go, disattach. And so, you know, that ability to trust, and just the way you bring astrology into us, it's like these points, these reference points for us to put the dots together and just be like, hey, just trust, you know, it's such a gift.
They're so reliable.
Oh, thank you so much for your time shared here with us today. And also thank you for who you are and the way you carry this work for us all to trust deeper, be able to surrender. Thank you.
My honor to be celebrating all the people watching this and knowing that this era is being heralded in by you. I can say that to everyone listening. We have some kind of family thing. I mean, it's definitely, I don't say this very often, if ever. There's definitely a past life feeling. I want to answer that question from Stephen Jenkins, and I think the answer is, what do you know? I know astrology. And what did you do about it? I started a school for thousands and thousands of people.
Yeah. Yeah. And I meant what I said, just the ability to trust and surrender. Like, dude, it's everything
trust.
on the path, right? And
like giving birth without having a doctor. I don't think I've ever told anyone that. I mean, it's not a very popular point of view to go be pregnant for 9 months and never go to the doctor. This is the Aquarian. Hello, let me just tell you something. This is exactly what the transition is. The woman turns to herself and says, move over.
Yeah. Do
not tell me what to do. I've got my sister here and she's experienced. I'm going to do what she said. That's the Aquarian age.
Is Aquarian more feminine? Is that because also the patriarchy
is androgynous? It's totally androgynous. It has no male or female. Aquarius is the one sign that you can't. And the other thing about Aquarius is that they are from the future. They're not human. It's the only sign. It's the only in the whole Zodiac. They're the ones that didn't come with the same operating system. They're coming with a brand new operating system.
Also, the masculine feminine fight, when we all can all feel it's redundant, but everyone's trying to do this thing. Androgynous time. Yeah.
When you talked about Stephen Jenkins, my whole body got the willies. This has been a very energetic
exchange.
Yeah.
Always is when you're around. Really,
Yeah, it's so interesting. To me, one of the deepest wounds in the human psyche is the birth of how we enter. This is Jenkins. This is ancient. How we enter here and then what the narrative is. I'm so scared because I've been in births. Like, scared of what?
Yeah.
This has been going on. Like, let this be like, yes, it's scary. And yes, we're going to hit a skid row. And yes, we ended up in the hospital, but nothing went wrong. It's just an exercise to stay in faith.
Yeah. It's such a blessing.
It's a passionate topic.
Oh, it's incredible. You, inspired soul, you made it through to the end of another incredible episode. Welcome to the new year, and hopefully you guys have an incredible year ahead. I want to take a quick moment to thank all of you that are subscribed to the channel. Thank you so much for your incredible love, support, and just helping us championing love, positivity, and wisdom around the planet. Everything you see around here is powered and empowered by your subscription to this channel. Thank you so much for the love and support. To all of you that haven't yet subscribed, please do take a moment, hit that bell notification icon, hit the subscribe button. It helps with everything we're doing here. And on screen now, an opportunity for you guys to dive in even deeper to Debra's awareness of astrology, and also an incredible episode we did with Rick Levine as well on astrology this year. And also another episode we discussed Dr. Gladys, 103-year-old, on wellness and longevity and meaningful living and the role of purpose in longevity ultimately. She's the lady that coined the word holistic. So some episodes on screen for you to stay inspired, keep evolving, and keep your journey flowing onwards, upwards, and inwards. So go on, take your pick, make your click, and I'll see you in the next one.